Appropriately enough, our second inductee tonight is longtime Fruitport football coach Steve Wilson. For me personally, it was a joy to work with Coach Wilson. The 5.5 years I was at Fox, I did a few different stories with him, one on Coach Rieger when his rock was dedicated, another one about the wheelchair project that Fruitport has done for several years, the wheelchair ramp project, I should say, which that's one thing about Coach Wilson. He's not just a football coach. He's a family man. He's a man that also inspires and teaches kids. It's not just about football. It's about giving back to your community and being a part of the community long after football is done. Our second nominee tonight, Fruitport football coach Steve Wilson.
Coming to Fruitport 23 years ago was a great experience for us. I was at Muskegon High School, and actually my wife and I were down in South Carolina, and we were visiting my folks, and we were planning on spending 2 weeks with them, and we got a call about halfway through the first week, and it was my old head football coach at Muskegon, Larry Harp, and he called me and said that Fruitport coach has just resigned and they're looking for candidates and they want you to apply. I had found a new home in Fruitport, and we've been happy there ever since. I can't believe how fast 23 years can go by. It's a great community. The community accepted my family and I with open arms. Our kids went to school from almost the very first day there. My daughter Melissa started in first grade. Oh no, she started in second grade, and Philip, our son, started in first and went all the way through the system. That time when the Muskegon job did open up, and I sat the family down and asked them if they'd want to go back to Muskegon, because if I were to coach at Muskegon, I'd want my kids to go through Muskegon, but they were in junior high, and I think Melissa might have even been a freshman at the time. And I asked them if they'd want to be Big Reds, and they said, absolutely not, we're Trojans. And that was the reason why I never even applied for the job, because my kids had already indoctrinated themselves in the Fruitport, and we were a Fruitport family then, and so that's why we stayed on.
You know, I had a blast. I was very fortunate that I was able to play my high school career with my father as the head football coach, because not too many players get a chance to do that. And then of course the icing on the cake was the fact that my senior year we had an opportunity to go to the state championship, which of course is something that everyone always dreams about as they're going through their childhood and working their way through the high school rankings. But to play for my dad in the state championship was something that was really memorable. And you know, I thank him for everything that he's done for me, because not only did I get a chance to play from him, but I learned a lot from him. Me, of course, being a coach now for DeWitt over in the Lansing area, I got a chance to take a lot of the things that he kind of instilled upon me and shown me as far as raising me to be a good man.
To tell you the truth, one of the things in retirement now that I've really enjoyed is I've had a chance to go down to DeWitt High School, where he's coaching now, and I've had a chance just to sit back and watch him coach. And that's been really special, because he's come full circle, where, you know, he was a young kid growing up and a ball player where I coached him, and now to watch him actually coach young men himself, I take a lot of pride in watching him do that. I see a lot of the same things that I said and I did that Philip does in his practices, and I see the way the kids respect him, and I see the way he interacts with the other coaches, and I think that's you know, one of the things that I take away most.
Family was very important, and Steve's dedication to football was just amazing. Not only just for the game, but what he instilled in the football players was so important, and how he stressed family. We, to this day, still get letters from different football players that call, or that will send a letter and say, thanks, Coach, so much for all the things that you've taught me, and how important the life lessons were that we learned from you and the coaching staff. It's been really rewarding to get those letters back from some of the kids. And I guess the faith part that I really couldn't stress enough was Steve always had the team do the Lord's Prayer before they'd go out on the field. And
Holly and I have gone together since our junior year in high school. So she was dating me when I was a football player at Muskegon. We dated all through college and got married the last year of college so that I wouldn't have to do student teaching away from Lansing.
Steve was always very concerned about our family too. He always wanted to make sure that we were okay. He understood that there were lots of times that he had to be gone, but he would try and do whatever he could to not schedule things when we wanted to do something that didn't always work, but he tried his best, and he always made sure we were included in everything so that we could all be a part of things together.
I remember when you came on board, you told the players and the parents that you had some priorities, and faith was number 1, family 2, school 3, and football 4. And we had never heard that before in our Fruitport sports programs.
I can remember multiple times I wasn't the best student in the world, but he would, rip you out of the hallway, see you goofing off, and ask you, have you done all your homework? Have you done all your classwork? Where are your grades at?
A lot of the mantras and the quotes that he would have that pushed us at the time just for football kind of stick with us through all of life, and I know that's touched me personally. Things like respect all, fear none. That was so true with our opponents that we would face. Whether it was a team that was worse than us, we wouldn't go in thinking we were going to blow out anyone. We would work hard that week, go out and do our best, and then we'd let the results happen. And if it was a team that was going to be really tough, it was the same thing. We weren't going to be afraid of them. We were going to do our best, and I think that's a life lesson that stuck with me all these years, that no matter what challenge lies ahead, to just continue to push forward, keep setting those goals higher, and I think that's something that's helped me throughout my entire life.
He had us participate in the elementary schools that we went to, reading to the kids and everything, and helping out in the classrooms, and it just brought us closer as a team and a community, and just what our goals that we set for ourselves. He just made us realize the hard work that we had to do to get to that, and even if there was some down moments, to be able to put that stuff to the side and still accomplish what we wanted to do.
Steve was determined to run the ball. It was the foundation of his fundamental theory of offense, and we ran the ball well. There's no one magic offense. If there was, everybody would run it. So Steve Wilson concentrated on the wing tee, which is really a ballet on grass. But in the end, well, the plays are just chalk on a chalkboard. It's the young men on the field. That's the focus. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Tommies and the Joes.
So one of the greatest memories that I have of Coach and just how he cared about every single player would have been my junior year. I had a player, a friend of mine, that unfortunately had a few physical limitations that prevented him from really being able to get out on the field on a regular basis. Coach, though, never discouraged him from going out and trying. He was probably one of the hardest workers that we had on every practice. He was volunteering to get in there, and it was homecoming. I believe we were against Spring Lake, big rivalry game. We were up. It was late in the fourth quarter, and Coach says, we're going to get him in the game. We're going to get him a carry. So Coach just lined him up as fullback. He had two of our bigger running backs, right on either side of him, and we basically just formed a wedge in the front and a wedge in the back for to prevent him from getting injured. And albeit he got 6-7 yards on that carry, and I don't know if I've ever seen a a bigger smile on a player's face, and I know Coach was grinning ear to ear.
I've never seen a guy who gets up earlier than he does, and though he doesn't stay up late, he packs in a full day's work, getting up at 3, 4 in the morning to take care of business, get his exercise in, get things ready to go in his classroom when he's in the classroom, and then get all his football stuff ready to go as well. And so that's just that hard-working attitude that I know that I've latched onto and made sure that I try to mimic, because it's the way to get things done. So, and as far as integrity is concerned, he is a man of just moral fiber and unbelievable in terms of being consistent with those around him and having high expectations of those around him. Really just making people around him better. And again, has provided for me an excellent example to follow, both as a person and as a coach. So really value those things in Coach Wilson, and I know that many others have benefited from those characteristics as well.
If anything, Steve Wilson affected me as a coach as well. Being able to come back to Fruitport and being able to coach. I saw Steve Wilson's passion that he had for coaching, the influence that he had on students every day.
He was a very hard worker. Think of all the times when him and the other coaches got together and they watched game films. They studied the other teams. They looked at our films and looked at what we were doing wrong, and they did nothing every week but help us become better.
You could always tell when the pressure was building up for a big game because, Coach Wilson got that Coach Wilson look on his face. And it's getting close to game time.
From the bottom of my heart to Coach, I want to say thank you. You've been, a tremendous impact on me, and I will continue to pass on your traditions, your words of wisdom, and your priorities, to my children and, anyone else that I have the opportunity to come across. So thank you again.
I'm very honored to be inducted into the Fruitport Hall of Fame. But to be honest with you, I don't feel that I deserve this award as an individual. I've had too many people that have been part of this program that have really done the job of making me look good. And I accept going into the Hall of Fame, but I really accept it for a bunch of people. We've already talked about my family, that this is a Hall of Fame family, that they've done everything they can for our program to make it better. But there are too many people out there like Steve Roop and Larry Rieger and Don Pringle and Rick Kestelud, all the other assistants that have gone with us on this journey that belong in the Hall of Fame with me. So I go into the Hall of Fame and I am excited about being a part of that, only in the sense that I represent the program and a lot of guys that I think deserve the recognition as much as I do. This is a great thing for my family and for me to be recognized this way, but I owe a lot of thanks to a lot of very special people. These guys that have been with me have become my best friends. I've cherished the time that we've been out on the field together, but I've also cherished the times that we've spent as families getting together, where we've become one big family, and we care about each other, and the families as they've grown up and we've watched them, then it's always been a special thing for me to be a part of such a great thing. And these guys have really made me look good, and I really appreciate it, and I really thank them for everything they've done to get Fruitport football where it is today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Wilson.
I want to thank a lot of people, and I think the video says a lot. And I am very humble to be accepting this award. And as I said before, I can't really accept this as an individual. I got to take a lot of credit for a lot of hard work that was put in by a lot of people, like I said, to make me look good. And at times they made me look great. But I really have a lot of thank yous, and to be thankful for the induction and the nomination, to be able to be up here. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees, the team itself, which is probably one of the biggest reasons that I got to be up here. They brought me a lot of joy. Bob Zorn, who was the voice of the Fruitport Trojans, and the feeling you got every time you heard Bob say, it's a touchdown for Fruitport. To have him going at the same time is a great honor for me. And Jared Olson, who's really going in for basketball, Jared was a ball player for me, and to have him come back and coach at Fruitport as a basketball coach. And, Jared was a remarkable receiver for the Muskegon area. Unfortunately, as Coach Roop said, we didn't run or throw the ball. And so for that reason, Jared didn't get a lot of ink or looks. But Jared was a team player. He was a coachable kid. And, to have him inducted with this group. Christy Sarniak was a student of mine. And, so it's been really neat when they have this honor bestowed to think about the people that are going in and how honored I am to be a part of that group. The thank yous, if you played for me, I want to thank you for being a part of my life, for the hard work you put in, and for the dedication and the sticking with the discipline. If you're a parent and you allowed your son to play for me, or for us, I want to thank you for taking that chance on letting him play football and giving me a chance, or us a chance, to teach him some life lessons. If you are a friend and you gave me support, I want to thank you for that. And when I say friend, I'm talking about if you are a colleague of mine, if we talk together, if we work together. I want to thank you for being a part of my life and making it that much more special. I want to thank Fruitport Community Schools for giving me a chance. 35 years ago, in 1989, I came into this program with absolutely zero head coaching experience. I had coached for 11 years in Muskegon. I'd even applied for the Mona Shores job the spring before, and was turned down because I had no experience. And to be asked by Fruitport, we want you to come over and be our head coach, somebody that was untested. And I was untested. And I thank them for giving me this chance, and for honestly for giving me a home, a place that I can call home. Fruitport has been my home, where I can't think of any other place that I would rather be, and how blessed I am to have had an opportunity to coach in this community, to work with the kids that I did, to work with the parents, and to work with the teaching staff that I had an opportunity to work with. How lucky I was. And it has been just a great thing for me and my family that, I can say this now to our superintendent and our principal, I would have done this for nothing. It was nice. And honestly, you didn't pay me. You compensated my wife for time away from home. I honestly got that check at the end of the year, and I handed it over, and it's nice because it came in November, right in time for Christmas. But my biggest thank you has got to be to my family. It goes without saying that my wife Holly, who is the absolute love of my life, that person, and it said that we were going together since our junior year in high school, but I have to tell you, I had a crush on her in 6th grade. We went to the same elementary school over there at Glenside, and unfortunately she went to Nelson Junior High, I went to Bunker Junior High, and I didn't get a chance to see her again until we got to high school, and it took a whole year before I got her attention from that. And I'm going to be honest with you more. Rick Kessler, my best friend,
was dating her before I did. So you know how that had to go when he broke up with her, and I got lucky enough to, to ask her out. And for her to become that special person in my life and to give me two of the greatest kids that God could put on the earth, my daughter Melissa and my son Philip. You saw where Philip had a chance to play for me, and that wasn't always easy. But it was one of the greatest experiences of my life where I can't picture him playing sports without me being the coach. And my daughter, who was not a football player, she wasn't a cheerleader or anything like that, but she was my biggest fan. And the thing that I couldn't start a football game without my daughter coming down on the field before a game and giving me a hug. And it was like I was always looking over my shoulder because I knew she was going to be there. And it was always, when she came up, it was kind of like, okay, the game can get on. But even like when we were at the Pontiac Silverdome, they don't let anybody get down there. So I had to go over by one of the gates coming down, and there was my daughter, and I got that hug. And, she did that forever. I can't remember a game where I didn't turn around, and even at the away games, all of a sudden she just walked out the field like she owned the place, which a lot of times I think she did. Both of my kids married wonderfully. I've got 3 grandkids. My son Philip married a gal that went in, but my son's a special ed teacher. My wife was a special ed teacher. Ashley, my daughter-in-law, is a special ed teacher. Melissa is a special ed teacher. And then my son-in-law, Bruce, is a regular ed teacher, but he kind of takes more after me. But both my son Phil and my son-in-law, Bruce, are coaches. And to be able to have that feeling and, to know that most of the varsity staff right now are kids that play ball for me. And I think that's my biggest legacy, is that they have gone on to follow in my footsteps, so to speak. I hope I'm never remembered for the number of games that I've won, and the number of trophies that we managed to put in a trophy case. I don't want that to be my legacy. I want my legacy to be the fact that we believed in something together, and that there was life beyond football, and that I could use football and coaching football and playing football as a means to teach men to do better, and that hopefully those lessons they learned would follow through in life. And to see the success that we've had, to be able to talk to these guys and hear the great things that they are doing, tells me that, we did okay. So on behalf of my family, I would like to thank you for this great honor. Go Blue.